Hi, my name is Kudzie Mapiye, and on this channel I do videos about my life living here in Australia, and I also share different life lessons that I've learned along the way. In today's video I'm going to be talking about 5 things that can get you deported or that can get your visa cancelled as an international student. Now, I'm mainly focusing on international students because I came to Australia in 2008 as an international student, and since 2008 till now 2024, things have changed significantly for international student visa holders in Australia. And the thing about Australia is the Australian government keeps statistics of countries who repeatedly violate their visa conditions, and that leads to the government making things harder for people from that country to get a visa. So basically, if you violate your visa conditions, you're basically messing things up for everyone else in your country. And I just wanted to talk about this topic because, you know, things are just getting harder and harder and harder for migrants to move to Australia, as if they weren't hard before, but they're getting harder and harder. And this is because of people who repeatedly make the wrong decisions when it comes to their visa conditions. And even from my country, like in Zimbabwe, when I came as a student in 2008, things were not as hard. The requirements were not as strict as they are now. And that is because over the years, people have made these 5 key mistakes and had their visa cancelled or have been deported from Australia. So this is just a warning. If you are currently a student studying in Australia, if you are a prospective student looking to come and study in Australia, or you are a relative of someone who's been inquiring about studying in Australia, all those things, if you fit any of those categories, these are very key things to know, because it is very hard to get an Australian visa, and the last thing that you want to do is to get your visa cancelled and then to make things harder for people from your country. Now I'm going to jump right into these 5 things. Number 1, working more than 48 hours in a week. The requirements of an for international students on a student visa is that they are permitted to work a total of 48 hours a fortnight, 48 hours a fortnight, which is 24 hours a week during the school semester, and then they can work unlimited hours during school breaks. So if you start working more than 24 hours and then the government finds out, and let me tell you something about the Australian government, they've got eyes everywhere, at the back of their head, at the sides of their, everywhere. They just have this system where they know how to gather information from different sources, and they can be notified when you start making these breaches. And there are some companies, I remember when I was a student visa, I was on a student visa, we're only allowed to work 20 hours a week. Now they've just increased that a little bit, so you can work an extra 4 hours a week, which is good. But we were only allowed to work 20 hours a week during the school semester. And I remember the company that I was working for at that time, I remember trying to pick up a shift after my 20 hours, and they were like, and I don't remember what were the circumstances, but I remember trying to pick up a shift and they're like, hang on, we can't give you any more work because you are on a student visa and you have passed your 20 hours of working. So companies that are responsible, they keep track of this. Some companies might not keep track of it and they might continue to give you shifts, and then the government finds out that you have been working more than your allowed 24 hours in a week, and you can get your visa cancelled and then be deported. And you know, I know life is very expensive in Australia. It is extremely tempting to work more than 24 hours a week because an average shift is usually 8 hours. So if you're working 24 hours, you're not even working a full week. usually, and usually that amount of money might not be able to sustain you, which is why I made a video before about being financially stable enough to move to Australia. If you're on a student visa and people think, oh, am I going to be able to pay for my own fees? Am I going to be able to like fully sustain myself, etc, well, it's what you can earn on 24 hours of working in a week. Like, it's not going to be that much money. It's not going to afford you that opportunity to pay your own school fees, which is very, very high for international students. It might not even be able to sustain your day-to-day living, like rent, food, transport, and all that. So you really need the financial backing of whoever is sponsoring you, whether that's your family, whoever is behind you, sponsoring you to come to Australia, really needs to like be supportive financially, because you will not be able to get enough money just on 24 hours. But on your semester breaks, you can work as much as you want. You can work 24 hours a day if you want, but that's only for semester breaks. And some of the semester breaks, like the summer break, is about 3 months long. So that's a significant amount of time where you can actually work and get a lot of money. And one thing that people used to do when I was a student, and things that are still available to this day for international students during the summer break, is to go to different farms and go and do fruit picking, where you get paid per like amount of fruit that you pick. So if you are a very hard worker, you can earn quite a lot of money, and they offer you accommodation for free, so, and food, so you will not have any expenses. Most of these farms will offer all that for you, and all you have to do is work, and you can be able to get a lot of money. That's for those students who are not wanting to go back home during those long semester breaks. So that's an option. It's better to save all your working energy for your semester breaks and not do it during the semester break, because trust me, you will like jeopardize your chances of finishing the degree. Because I have known a lot of people being deported back to their countries because they have not met their visa conditions, one of which is that working one. So that's number one. Number two is not attending classes. Now, for uni in Australia, you will have your lectures and then you will have your tutorials. Most times your tutorials have an attendance record, and your teachers keep that attendance record, and guess what? That attendance record is linked to your immigration information. So the immigration office can automatically know if you are attending classes or not. And you know, with these tutorials, they'll tell you like you need to attend like 80% of your classes or whatever. And if you're in the habit of missing your classes and that information is feeding up to immigration, you are going to get that dreaded call that your visa has been cancelled, and that is the last thing that you want. So please do not be in the habit of missing classes. You know, go to your classes, try and make as many classes as you can, especially if that attendance is being marked. And you know, that is something that I also used to see when I was an international student in Australia, that some people would, you know, get consumed into the culture, go partying, do other things, and not attend class. And then, you know, they don't meet their attendance requirements, which is part of your enrollment requirements for your visa. So missing class can result in your visa being cancelled and result in you being deported back to your country. Number three, which is linked to number two, failing. Simple as that. Not doing well in class, getting below average marks in your classes. And if you get a fail repeatedly, if you get a fail for a lot of your classes, and trust me, like some people might think, oh, I will never fail. It is easy to fail in uni. Like, you know, it's, if you don't attend your classes, you don't provide your assignments on time, all those things can lead to you failing. And sometimes there's one element of your course which carries a large percent of your like pass mark, and if you don't do well in that, you've pretty much failed the whole course. So you just need to be really careful and pay attention to the requirements of your course. If you repeatedly fail your subjects, like for example, if you do 4 subjects, many people do 4 subjects per semester so that they can finish on time. If you do 4 subjects a semester and then you fail all 4 subjects, and you might be thinking, oh my goodness, who's gonna fail all 4 subjects? It has happened. I know people who have failed all 4 subjects one semester. If you fail all subjects the second semester, like if you repeatedly fail, the uni would tell you that they have cancelled your enrollment. Once they cancel your enrollment, your visa is only granted on the fact that you are enrolled. It needs a confirmation of enrollment from your uni. So when you become disenrolled, if your uni disenrolls you because you are always failing in your classes, that means your visa will also be cancelled. And as a result, if you don't hold a valid visa, you will be deported. So it is very important when you come to Australia to concentrate, when you're in your classes, to really apply yourself and to do well so that you don't risk deportation. And I mean, it's very expensive to study in Australia. And another thing that I would offer as advice, unsolicited advice to people, if you're coming to study in Australia, make sure you're studying something that you're really passionate about, or you're studying something in an area where you've got a lot of interest in, because that can be a factor as to whether you pass or fail your subjects. Because I know people who have been enrolled in subjects that their parents thought were a good idea, but these kids were not really good at those subjects and they kept repeatedly failing in those subjects and they got disenrolled. So make sure that you enroll in a subject, in a course that really resonates with you, in a course that you're going to be interested in studying, so you don't get disenrolled. So that is point number 3. And then the 4th point is, if you defer too many semesters, you will be disenrolled. So if you are always deferring a semester, and deferring a semester is not against your visa requirements. Sometimes people will need to defer a semester for a variety of reasons. It might be medical, like a lot of things can happen in people's lives, and you are allowed to defer a semester. But if you repeatedly defer semesters, and people have done this before where they get enrolled in a course and then they just keep deferring and deferring and deferring, you will get disenrolled by your uni and your visa will be cancelled. So make sure you are committed to your course and you don't keep disenrolling. And that, again, from the last point, make sure you're enrolled in a subject, in a course that you really like, because your chances are high of not applying yourself, of deferring semesters, of not attending class if you're enrolled in a class that you do not like. So I think this is really a message to parents. Like, sometimes it's good for your kids to follow their dreams and not for you to push what you think is a good idea on your kids, because they might not actually be good at those things, and you might be wasting a lot of money investing it in them coming to Australia to study, and then they're just gonna end up failing and coming back home with no degree, and they're just gonna have to start again somewhere else. So that is a waste of time and money. So to avoid all that, just enroll in something you like. Chances are you'll finish it, you'll see it through, you'll enjoy attending class and all that. And then the 5th and final point. This one is for, all those naughty people. If you get arrested and you have to serve a sentence that is like over 12 months in prison, you will get your visa cancelled. That is a given. You will get your visa cancelled, and that is for any visa holder, whether you're on any like skilled visa, international like student visa, whatever. If you find yourself on the other side of the law and then you find yourself in jail for more than 12 months, then automatically, once you get out of jail, you will be deported, and whatever visa you were on gets cancelled. And you might think, oh my goodness, that's so far-fetched. No, some people have gotten deported on student visas, like that I know from African countries that I know of, that because they found themselves in jail for more than 12 months. And you might be thinking, what kind of crimes can people commit that will find them in jail for that amount of time if they're on a student visa? Well, there are a variety of crimes, from domestic violence. If you're in a relationship and you commit an act of domestic violence towards your partner, you will be in prison most likely for a period of over 12 months. And it could be traffic offenses like drink driving with excessive ranges of alcohol in your blood. You will get arrested for a pretty long time. Like, there are a variety of reasons. So it's really important for you to abide by the law if you are an international student, because you don't want to find yourself on the other side of the law and being imprisoned for a long time. And the other thing is, there are counts. If you're arrested and you've got different counts, like, if, for example, if you're drink driving and you don't have a license and then you could commit another crime, like, those are different counts. So that's time being added. Maybe you're supposed to go in jail for 3 months, but then for this other offense that you've committed as a combination, you get another 3 months or 6 months, 9 months, and it adds up to a sentence of more than 12 months. Then that is possible. And a lot of student visas in Australia have found themselves on the other side of the law because of drink driving. So many students have found themselves on the other side of the law for that reason. That is the most common reason. And they might not be in prison for 12 months, but a lot of international students who find themselves in court, they are in court because of drink driving. The Australian alcohol limit for driving is 0.05. So if you're higher than 0.05, you are over the limit. So you probably be in some kind of trouble. So, a lot of people have been in court as students for that. So please, please, please do not commit these offenses. And, the most important thing is, fair enough if you don't want, if you don't care about your future and maybe you've got different options, because people have different opportunities. Some people come from families where they can be awarded different opportunities. They might fail at this and be, given another opportunity. Some people only have one shot. So once you mess things up for yourself, remember that the government is keeping stats against not only you, but your country. So you are messing things up for the entire country. And this goes for any visa holders in Australia. If you're a visa holder, if you've been granted a visa and you reside in a certain country, what you do affects people from that country. And things will continually be tough for people in that country, and they'll be made tougher because of the decisions that you make. So I feel like we are all responsible for, doing the right thing for the people of our country who then want to come to the country that we're living in. Sometimes you have to think beyond yourself. What you do is going to affect the other people, and it has. In Australia, for Zimbabwe, especially when it comes to student visas, the actions of previous student visa holders have significantly affected the chances of other people who are now trying to come to Australia to study, because they have just done the wrong thing over time. So not only Zimbabwe, I'm using Zimbabwe because that's the country that I'm from, but a lot of other countries where people do the right thing and they're just being irresponsible, but you don't know that whenever you're in a foreign country, and it's not only about getting your visa cancelled. Whenever you're in a foreign country, you need to carry yourself with, some kind of responsibility, because you mess things up for other people. For example, I always say, just being African doesn't matter which country you're from. As Africans, I feel like if you're in a foreign country that's not in Africa, be responsible, because you mess things up for the rest of us. If you commit crimes and then we see you on the news, next day people are just saying all Africans are bad. So we should be all responsible for each other, and the way you carry yourself, the way you conduct yourself affects other people from other countries and other people from your country. So please be responsible, do the right thing. And if you're looking to come to Australia, make sure that you just, stick to the requirements of your visa. Don't take chances. The Australian government is not very lenient to people who take chances, unfortunately. I know other countries were a little bit lenient The Australian government is not. They do not delay cancelling your visa. Like once they get enough information to know that you are doing the right thing and you're not following your visa requirements, they are pretty quick. And right now, because of the sophistication of computer systems and everything, they are linked to so many services. They're linked to so many things like your bank accounts, whatever. They're linked to so many things that can give them information to tell them whether or not you are abiding by your visa conditions. So please be responsible, and for the sake of yourself and for the sake of everybody else. I hope you enjoyed that video. I hope you find it helpful, and I will see you in my next one.